Leadership TV. I am Cynthia Anado, where we bring you the trending stories on select national dailies here in Nigeria. A lot is happening. Of course, we had the Anambra elections on Saturday, November 8th. Also, the issues with Donald Trump's threat to Nigeria on alleged Christian genocide. All of that and more we will be discussing here on the program today. So you want to stick around till the very end. Let's begin, of course, with Leadership newspaper. A major headline here looks at group kicks as Islamic Council says no Christian genocide in Nigeria. Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs blames insecurity on poverty, climate change, crime. Seek help, or rather seek foreign help to stop Christian killings, Anglican primate tells Tinubu. And also we look at Anambra, kudos, Knox greets Soludo's victory. That's on page 7. That's a trending story. Also we see Deposit Insurance Corporation. We are sufficiently empowered to prosecute those behind bank failures. That's on business. Federal government targets $450 million revenue, 350,000 jobs from National Poultry Project. Also, group raises the alarm over fresh attacks in southern Kaduna. That's on security matters. On the news also, teenager kills cousin for ritual in Edo State. Above the masthead, we see land use, Wike grants defaulters another 14 days to pay 5 million naira violation fee. And on 15% import tariff, fuel price shock looms as major marketers warn. Also, let's look at our editorial, which is on our page 3, called The Stand, Leadership Writes on New Local Government, Old Illusions. Also, it looks at the creation of new local governments in Nigeria, or rather the perceived creation. It has been long, portrayed as a strategy for accelerating development, bringing governance closer to the people and promoting equitable growth. But how sustainable is this, and in what way would this benefit the people of the state where these local governments are being created? Moving on now to our back page, we have a Monday column with Joshua Ocheja. He looks at on military politics with the recent shake-up that President Tinubu did with the Nigerian security agencies. We look at, of course, the fact that the military is a very strategic institution, and everything seems regimented, including the way they think, but anything outside of this seems to be politics. But then the shake-up President Tinubu did in the security affairs in Nigeria, does it have something to do with politics? Well, you can pick up a copy of Leadership and read all of that from Joshua Ocheja. Also, of course, our Ghana Must Go cartoon down below, we see it's saying it takes 62 signatures to pay one NDDC contractor, says Ndoma Egba. And then we also see how much. All right, when it takes 62 signatures, how much does it take? That's the question. That's the question on that Ghana Must Go cartoon, and that's what everybody would love to know. All right, moving on from Leadership this morning, let's take a look at our national economy. On business news, it looks at federal government to unveil railroad max linking all states, Abuja. That's quite a good news. Also, we see 15% tariff, local refiners gear to boost production capacity. Also, bank customers to commence cross-border transactions with Naira Visa. And we also look at why Nigeria must strengthen intellectual property rights. That's on page 15. You do well to pick up a copy of National Economy to get updated on all of these trending stories. Let's move on now to the Punch. The Punch newspaper this morning, the major headline looks at the PDP crisis. 3,000 delegates set for high-stakes convention. Makinde Wike camps trade blows as delegates gear up for convention. That's on page 2. All right, also we look at Genocide, PFN, Islamic Council in verbal crossfire. Okay, crude oil revenue plunges by 43%. Also on entertainment news, what's trending now? Drugs, Regina Nwoko in fresh bitter showdown. All right, you do well to pick up a copy of the Punch and read on the page 8. Also, Soludo's Anambra win sparks political storm. All right, a lot of candidates from other political parties are rejecting the results, but then we see the court showdown with ongoing tribunals, and we don't know how long that would last. But then let us wait and see. Also, we see a picture of the recruits of the depot Nigerian Army in action, during their competition in Osogbo. Also, we see federal government vows tighter security after UK flags northern states unsafe. All right, we know that there was a report yesterday that the United Kingdom has flagged down 20 states, both from the southeast, south, and also the north, regarding them as states of particular concern or states that are unsafe for their citizens to go to. Okay, 15 girls rescued from Ondo sex trafficking network. Also on page 9, Aregbe Shola's backing can't save. Adeleke says APC chieftain. That's all from the Punch. Let's move on now to the Nigerian Tribune. Let's see what the Nigerian Tribune headline is saying this morning. It looks at PDP, SDP Labour Party, ADC reject Anambra Guba results. Tinubu others congratulate Soludo. Serap to INEC hand over Anambra vote bias. Sponsors to EFCC and ICPC. And also our work for Anambra, says the incumbent governor Chukwuma Soludo, of course, who is also the winner of the elections, the Anambra governorship elections that held on Saturday. Also on the Nigerian Tribune, fuel import tariff will strengthen Naira spur investment, says the NECA. Also concerns as loan sharks re-emerge. Resort to blackmail, intimidation for loan recoveries. We will go after them, FCCPC assures. Advises Nigerians to stop patronizing them. All right, this is a real humanitarian story now when we look at loan companies, loan sharks, and how they try to get back their money. They can resort to any, they can resort to any kind of act, be it blackmailing, be it intimidation, just to get their money back. All right, Wike grants defaulters in Asokoro, Gariki will say another 14 days to pay 5 million naira violation fee. UK issues fresh travel warning to Borno, Yobe, Adamawa, 3 others over rising insecurity. No work, no pay, unjust negates fair labor relations, and that's NASU. Also on health, next cancer fighting mRNA vaccine may already be here. Well, that's the good news. NSCIA attributes security crisis to climate change, poverty, mass unemployment. Finally, on the Nigerian Tribune, 90% of Nigerian land real estate have defective title, says Abakoba. Okay, that's on page 2. Moving on from Nigerian Tribune, let's check out Daily Sun. Daily Sun looks at house rent hike agony spreads, all right? Worsening citizens' economic woes. 90% hike reported in Lagos, Enugu, others. All right, I think that's a real problem in Nigeria generally, not just peculiar to some states. People are really complaining about the house rent situation and the fact that things that like this are left in the house of house agents. They determine what you pay for house rent. They determine all the other surrounding fees that comes with that. So I think that's a real issue the government needs to look into. Also on the Daily Sun, we see Dangote fuel depot in fresh price battle for market control. Nigeria not ripe for 15% tariff on fuel imports, says S&P Global. Also, Otto Eze congratulates Soludo on re-election, hails his transformational leadership. Down below the masthead, we see Tinubu Nwifuru. APGA congratulates Soludo on re-election. How 140 billion naira ongoing capital projects are shaping Zamfara, says official. Also, NASU tackles federal government over recurring no work, no pay threat, says it's an instrument of intimidation. And finally, on Daily Sun, we see Saudi-bound wanted drug lord arrested as NDLEA raids Kolos lab in Lagos. All right, finally, now on Inside Nigeria, let's check out Vanguard newspaper. The major headline here on Vanguard, of course, it looks at the Anambra showdown, how Soludo tsunami swept all 21 local government areas. And we look at a breakdown of the activities that went down there on Saturday. Also, we see a kind of a chart on the results from local government, Aguata, Oka, Anambra, and all the breakdown of how it went down on Saturday. Well, I say congratulations to Governor Chukwuma Soludo of Anambra State. Also on Vanguard, we see plot to take over Nest Oil, Necon's interest in OML 42 unravels. All right, federal government exceeds 2025 borrowing target by 55.6%, expected to hit 80% by year end. Also on Trump and everything regarding his accusations of Christian genocide in Nigeria, we look at Anglican primate to federal government seek foreign help if you can't stop killings. Also, we see a headline here, U.S. watch list Nigeria not in religious war, says the NSCIA. Also, UK warns against travel to 6 states. All right, I think that's all we'll take today on the Vanguard newspaper. To comment on any of these trending stories, do well to leave us a comment on any of our social media platform, Instagram, Facebook, and also YouTube. Thanks for watching. Till I come your way next time. Bye.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word. Thank you for watching. For